Hello, Hajarine. How are you doing? Hope all is well. Wonderful. You're doing well. Great, great, great. I'm doing well tonight. Yes. So, how was your 4th of July? Your Independence Day? Was it good? Did you have a great time with family? Did you get some rest? I noticed that you put your picture up on Trace of Twan's Life community post. Looking good. Look, celebrating independence from self-doubt. I thought that was nice of her to, allow us to post on her page just to, show, the, our accomplishments thus far in our journeys, our better health. All right, so Hadri, yeah, it was good. I didn't do much. My husband, man, oh, okay. Yes, I got you. Hello, Twan. How are you doing? I was about to read your whole name. Trace of Twan's Life. Yes. Hadri says, yes, I had to go buy that short set. You're right. Me too. Me too. I had to go and get something real quick and cheap because I'm like, I don't know how long I must, be able to wear those, you know, clothes, but we'll see. All right. Yes. So how are you doing, Twan, today? Hopefully you're doing okay. How was your 4th of July? Hope everything went well with you this weekend or the past weekend. Okay, all is well. Good, good, good. And I was just telling Hajarine, it was nice of you to be, allow us to post on your community posts, just to show as a part of Independence Day to show, our independence from self doubt, which kind of went with your series of, self love is the best love. And so we're just showing we were able to show um, our pictures to show non-scale victories of how we're doing on our journey thus far. Okay. Ajre. Yeah, I get you. Hey, we all do. We all do. All right. So, hi, Jojo. How are you doing? Happy you're able to come in tonight. Finally losing some weight. Great, great, great stuff. Yes, yes. That's awesome. The trick is the diet along with GLP-1. Correct. That's so true. That is so true, Jojo. And I'm so excited for you that you're able to lose some, shed some pounds, unwanted pounds. That is great. And you were able to not only use the GLP-1 medication, but also, you're learning how to, choose your regimen or nutrition to help you with that. And that's awesome. Okay, Twan, you enjoyed your 4th of July. Great, great, great. I had several people to reach out to me after I posted it on Facebook. They loved it. Great. One lady posted her pic on Facebook. Okay, I have to check it out. Yes. Yeah, that was awesome. Hopefully, I know you had extended to people that they can continue to post on their page, on your page. So hopefully, we'll get more people to post and just to be able to encourage one another on our journeys, to show that we are, learning to celebrate ourselves while we're on this journey. We may not be where we want to be, but we are striving for it, and we're doing a good job at it. And there's no shame in doing so. So hopefully more people, come throughout the rest of the month to show their pictures as well. Especially like a lot of times, we have a community. Of course, you see, with the content creators, we of course see each other, and then the supporters see us as content creators. But it'll be nice to put a face with a name, you know, on the post if people do decide to post. We all say that we're family, so it's nice to be able to see each other, see our extended families, right? So yeah, I'm excited to see who else posts. Hello, she is Tamika. How are you, gorgeous? Hope you're doing well today. And I was just asking people as they come in that they enjoy their Independence Day. And I noticed that you put a some pictures out there on Tracy Twan's life, Twan, aka Twan, her on her community page, and you look fabulous per usual. And I was just thanking her to for allowing us to do that, as well as to be able to celebrate each other, encourage each other, and things of that nature. So yeah, along our journey, and just realizing it's not all about scaled victories, on this weight loss journey, or just journey to better health. But it's all, it's about not just a scale, but also our non-scale victories. We can't say that enough, and it's good to just continue to encourage each other that, especially when the scale is not moving. Always remember we can count our blessings, um, you know, of the non-scale victories as well as the scale victories. It's so important. And I just think about, the song Count Your Blessings, see what the Lord has done. Um, he's done some great things you know, within our lives as we continue to go on this journey, as we embark upon the new journey for those who have not started or just starting, or that as we continue on this journey. So that, was a way to show that by posting it, as a community. And I had fun with it. Oh, okay. So Tamika says she laid around. So you just chill, and that's fine too. You wasn't in the mood. I got you to celebrate. I got you, and that's fine. Sometimes it's just chilling. That's a good thing. That's part of self. Care. Just being able to just relax. You don't have to always be in the hustle and bustle of everything. So that is, you know, that's definitely understandable. And sometimes we need to just chill out. So Jojo says another trick is stay away from people or environments that encourage bad health habits. People were offering me cake, fried foods at the barbecue, made me gain weight. Once away from that, I lost it. Okay, yes, I got you. Yes, I do understand that. Yeah, environment is very important. Depending on how you are, if you're strong in a certain area, you know, and um, and know how to just say, I'm not doing it, and mean it, and are able to continue on. Sometimes you do have to just step away from the environment that you're in if it's going to derail, kind of derail what you have going on, whatever your goals are, especially when you are trying to find, like create disciplines. Turn this phone. So everybody's saying hi to one another. Yes, yes. So tonight I'm going to put it in the chat, my topic. I did put it on my, posted on my page, but about, just kind of just talking a little bit more about disciplines. I think I'm going to do like a series of things at times. And so, this is a very important topic. um, when it comes to discipline. Like last month when I started my lives, I wanted to talk about just diet culture and you know how to break away from it, being free from the diet culture. Also, not being shamed and not being, not letting anybody shame you or feeling, um, a certain way about and having to hide, what you decide to do if you decided to go on a GLP-1 medication, and just talking through that stuff together so that we can make sure that we understand that we are strong, and we made the decision to use GLP-1 medication, and it's okay to do that. It doesn't mean that we're lazy. It doesn't mean that we should be shamed about it at all. It's very courageous to decide that you need this medication as a help for you to be able to become better in your health. And it's not just about weight loss, but it also is about doing everything that we need to do the natural way, as well as having the medication that helps, because so many of us had tried for years, you know on end, trying to lose weight or become better in our within our health, and things may have failed, or it was very difficult to do so. And so therefore, I wanted to make sure that we understood that it's okay to decide to take the medication GLP-1, or even have weight loss surgery, or whatever you decide to do. It's your choice. And so therefore, we were able to kind of talk about that a little bit in June. And of course, it probably will come up, even more as we continue to go on. I mean, that's an ongoing topic when it comes down to, just, realizing that it's okay to, decide what you want to do, and to, live your life like you think is best. So go again, tonight's topic is forming disciplines and building consistency on your GLP-1 or weight loss journey. Hello, Downsizing Diva. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well. All right, put that money sign in. Yes, yes, if you're a content creator. Good evening, Darian. How are you? Yes, good evening, Kim J and the Health Hustlers. Hope your Tuesday is going well, Darian says. All right, so he's speaking to Tamika. And I hope your 4th of July, your Independence Day, Darian, went well. Let us know in the chat. Also, hey, the Mel B, how are you doing? Are you doing better? Hope you're doing better, feeling better. Right. A. So I did put the topic in the chat tonight as well, just to let you all know when it comes to discipline, what we're actually talking about today. Disciplines, learning how to or building disciplines, as well as learning consistency, because they kind of work hand in hand. All right. Okay, Darium. You're on your best hit behavior, all right? Oh boy. Oh, great, Mel. You tested negative. Right. Wonderful. So you on the amends now. Great, great, great. Yes, Darren said congrats on your results. Hello, Felicia. How are you doing tonight? Right, Mel. The jury's still out. Correct. Oh boy. And that's fine. All right. Okay, so as far as discipline is concerned, we're trying to, of course, like we talked a little bit about last week. When the motivation, you normally at the beginning you're kind of scared. When for instance, for people that have decided to use a GLP-1 medication, and they may have been scared to actually start the medication, and which is understandable. But then they also were kind of excited as well, especially if they heard other people that have been on the journeys, before them, that have that had great results from it, the medication, use the medication. And so they, very excited about it as well, even though they may have been scared to, like, do the injection, actually give themselves the injection. Because most people, if they did, get any kind of form of injection, it was somebody giving it to them. So when they have to do it themselves, and I may have made them a little scared, or us a little scared. I wasn't actually scared of it. I was excited about it. I was ready for it. But, I know a lot of people have stated that they were a little afraid of, the unknown of taking the medication itself, not knowing how long the needle is going to be, if it was going to hurt or not, and then it's just how the medication was going to affect them. So those are the, some of the things that people were kind of scared about. But excitement, like I said, it brought about excitement as well, because you heard other people's success stories on their journey. So, and we were, at one point we had been trying to lose some weight, or better our health, and for some reason, we may have failed at it. And it could have been one time or a million times we've gotten on different diets in the past, and it just for some reason did not work for us. Or we could never stay consistent doing it. And so therefore, people decided to get on GLP-1 medications, or like I said earlier, may have decided to, you know, um, decided to go with the surgery route and get gastric surgeries, some kind of gastric surgery. So, and that's quite okay. Whichever way you decide to better your health is fine. And we talked about that in June. And of course, it's going to feed over into other topics because it's so important to realize that it's okay to, and be free of, the shame and the guilt that we may, that may creep into our minds at times. So, but I also talked last week about just being motivated, um, and this is going to be a series of just learning discipline, building discipline upon discipline, and things of that nature. Because, like I said last week, when the motivation stops, what do we have? Because of course, like I said, hearing stories of people losing weight, success stories of people losing weight, success stories of people, their health are becoming better. That gave us excitement, and it made us motivated, even though we may have been scared of, giving ourselves an injection, or even having weight loss surgery. Of course, that does come with some fears at times. However, you know, um, we realized that the motivation kept, started us on the journey. Or if you have not started the journey, you may be on the fence about it, but it's something that's keep you thinking, it's making you think about it more and more, as you continue to hear these success stories of how we have, that this medication has helped us, or the surgery has helped us, in some way, shape, or form. So even if it didn't help with weights, we found out that there's a lot of non-scale victories that we've come across, and so that was great. But when the motivation stops, when we get into the nitty and gritty, and we keep going and keep going and keep going, and then find out, okay, it's everything has the noise is now silent, as far as it feels like the medication may not be working as good as it was in the beginning, or things of that nature, or the weight is not coming off as much. You may have gotten a blood work done, like up your blood work, and for some reason the results may not show exactly how you wanted it to show, or what you thought it was going to look like. And so therefore your motivation kind of tanks a little bit. So how do you continue to go? And so therefore that's where this discipline comes in at. Motivation can kind of help you, start you on your way, but you need a discipline to keep you in the trenches when things are not going like you want it to go, or it seems like it's not going that way. But we have to just keep, stay the course, and be patient with ourselves to make sure that we are able to keep going. But discipline is very critical for achieving better health. And I've stated, on my lives, and just on on my videos, and other people in the community has also stated too, we have to be careful. We have to think further than the scale. Even if we're on, say, Zepbound or Wegovy, which those two medications are, approved so that people can lose weight, right? But you want to try to get to the point where you're not just all about the scale and about losing, but again, better health. Because even if you don't maybe have type 2 diabetes or something, or kidney disease, or, things of that nature, maybe sleep apnea, you may not have that, heart disease. It may just be obesity that you're fighting against, that you're combating against. But, you could be insulin resistant, even though you may not have type 2 diabetes. Sometimes you can be insulin resistant for a long time before, or may never get diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. So better health should be our main concern. It should get to that point. And if you start the GLP-1 medication, or, you, like I said, you decide to do weight loss surgery, either way, the focus should really some kind of way shift to, if it's not already, when you start the medication, to becoming healthier, so that we can live longer and more vibrant lives. And so having that discipline will and the consistency will help you, make healthier choices and be able to stick to your plan, even if there are challenges, um, that we are going to all face at some point, whether it's in the beginning of the journey, or if it's, in the middle of the journey or towards the end of the journey. At some point, we're going to face challenges. And so we have to make sure we have, goals set. We have to make sure we know how to resist the temptations that may come along, and, make a conscious effort to make decisions that's going to support what your goals are of being healthy, or having being well, or getting well, of course. And so you want to make sure you're creating those positive habits, and trying to manage your health overall more effectively, so you can improve upon, like I said, the quality of life, so you can be vibrant and things of that nature. Okay, so Twan says that she's tested positive for COVID. Oh, and so Tamika says, "What? My throat was acting up. I said not today." I know that's right. I was feeling kind of weird a little bit earlier today, and I'm like, let me just take one of these allergy pills. So Darian says, "Feel better, Twan." Okay, your husband, good. He tested negative. Wonderful. All right. So Downstairs Diva says, at Mel, he can't behave with you in the chat. Talk about is Darian. Oh boy. All right. So Twan says, that's how it started, Tamika. Yeah. Darian says, I can show better than I can tell. All right, Darian. Oh boy. Right. Be yourself, Darian. It's okay. Be yourself. Who is KD? Mm. All right, now King Darian. All right, so Tamika said, I don't want to be right. Nobody want to be sick. Nobody ain't got time for that. So get well soon, Twan. Right, that's the old folks saying. Yep, ginger, lemon, and honey. Yes. Yes, you got it on that. Great, great, great. Yes, please, y'all hit the thumbs up. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Twan. And yes, share it, please. Share this live. All right, so Melody said Kim J, a Harvard study said that bariatric surgeries declined like 25% since 2022, I believe. I read that over the weekend. Incredible. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. And probably, because of people getting on the GLP-1s. I know a lot of times, like for me, someone asked me that I want to, because they were having the surgery, and they asked me if I wanted to come along with them to get it, because they knew I wanted to lose some weight, wanted to better my health and things of that nature. And I was like, I had already had several different surgeries in the past, and I really hope that I don't have to have any more. Not sure if, of course, if I have to have any more, but was hoping that I didn't. So I was like, nah, I don't think I want to do it just quite yet. So, but yeah. And because of these GLP-1s, I can see people, deciding to decide to go with this first before they decide to get cut, because of course surgery can be very I mean, you have to get put under, they have to do the surgery, then you have to come out of it. They have to bring you out of, your deep sleep and everything. And that's kind of just scary in itself. Some people don't come out. But it's other, reasons why people may decide not to get bariatric surgery and maybe come to the, decide to, like I said, use the GLP-1s. Seems less evasive to use the GLP-1s or find, like I said, something else to do to help. The MLB says, sorry to hear that, Twan. Hope you feel better soon. Yes. Yes. JoJo says, feel better. And you can take, that medication will help. I took it when I, was sick, and it helped me a lot. Tremendously, actually. Mel B says to everyone, it's on the rise. And a lot of times it is, during the summer times for some reason. Probably due to a lot of traveling and, coming in contact with people that you used to not being in contact with, or even it could be your family members, but I think people move a lot more, during the summer months. So that could be why. And is available with prescription, correct. And it definitely helps. Yes, I'm a testament to that. All right. So Twan says the great thing is that I'm walking, getting my steps in. Right. This is my first time getting it, and it's like you have a head cold. Right. The last time I got it, it was that way as well. And like 5 days, I was feeling better, and got a negative test. So didn't take any medication that time. Yeah, I don't even know how to say that, so I'm not that medication. But I'm happy your doctor did give you some kind of medication to help with, your symptoms. Okay, so Twan says people are being placed on a GLP-1 right after surgery. Yes, some people are, or some people after the gastric bypass or bariatric surgery of some kind. They may have lost some weight or not lost as much as they wanted to, so they decide to get on the GLP-1s. At some point after. Some people right after, some people a year after. They may give that, try to give themselves some time to see what, the surgery would do for them when it comes to losing weight. And then they, may decide to get on the GLP-1 to kind of help boost their weight loss. Or, like I said, just become better in health in general. So Twan says, I think it's too soon, maybe a year after, to follow their body. To allow their body time to heal and adjust. Yep. That's a good opinion about it. That's your opinion. And I think so too. If, not sure how long I would say, but if I was to have surgery, I probably would wait a while before I decide to take something else, just to see how, how my body responded to it. So I get it. Yes, thank you, Twan. 14 is watching and only 10 likes. Okay, other 4 people like this live. Greatly appreciate it. Greatly appreciate it. So when it comes to forming discipline, y'all, are you all and just building consistency? Have you built any habits so far to become disciplined? And not just lead with motivation, but just to become disciplined when it comes to this, so that if you, for some reason, say if you are, if you got on the medication for just weight loss, or even if you if you got on the medication, if you're on a GLP-1 medication to lose, to better your health. Like I said, motivation could have started you in this journey, but have you formed the disciplines that it take you to continue on the journey? And like I said, if there's, if for some reason it's not going the journey, or you're at a particular spot within your journey, and you're not, for some reason seeing the positives, what are you doing to make sure that you have formed disciplines? because disciplines definitely, will help, um, teach you how to maneuver while you're not seeing results. And know that just because you don't see them does not mean that the results are not happening. Know that just because you're not seeing results does not mean that that things are not going well for you. Sometimes it just takes time, so that's why you want to keep up, just keep the journey going, just keep going, just keep going, just keep going, pressing toward that mark, because it's so important. At some point, say if you're on a stall, the stall has a break. At some point, if you're plateauing, the plateau, it has to break at some point. So you just got to keep going, and know that, and do those consistent things that you form, the disciplines that you have formed, so that you can continue to go. And even if, like I said, the scale is not moving or you don't see the non-scale victories. But again, check counting your blessings, counting those non-scale victories. I call them blessings. Um, when you don't see that scale moving. And it's easy to get stuck on the numbers, y'all. It's easy. You know, Even if you are on just a health journey in general, that's the first thing on your mind. That scale is still you're gonna think about that scale. If you know you're losing something, you're gonna think about it. Most of us do. But you know, just know that, and you get excited because that scale is moving down, right? Because even when you're on a health journey and not, so much focus on the scale, you still, if you see the scale moving, it just makes you more motivated, right? That's another motivation, just to see that scale moving over and over. But even with that being said, for me, I mean, my focus, my goal, and out the gate was better health, right? Me being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, you know, that was something I'm like, enough is enough. I got to get this under control. I got to figure something out. I can't keep living like living like I just want to live, um, because I want to live, right? And I want to live long. So the only way I can do that is to get a handle of it now. Don't let it get any further. Don't go any further to the left, you know, and potentially get more ailments and diseases, whatever you want to call them. Um, I need to nip it in the bud. So that's why, I came out the gate running, and doing the things I need to do to try to, alleviate, hopefully not have any more things added to my plate when it comes to, health. So even with me running out the gate, strong with my nutrition, with, starting to move and things of that nature, I still know that when I hit that scale, because I knew the GLP-1, the Manjaro, even though it's made for, was approved for helping with type 2 diabetes, I knew that it was a tool that could also help me lose weight. So when I got on that scale, I saw that scale moving, and that scale made me want to keep going. It, like I said, it motivated me. But when that scale kind of slowed down, or wasn't moving, or was moving up one week and down the next week, or back and forth, or whatever, you know, or very little movement, I had to create disciplines to make sure that I can continue to go on, and also build new habits, because certain habits, when I first started the medication, it may have helped at the moment, but then I had to, as I continued to go and grow, learning different things, I had to continue to build upon the habits, and started habit stacking, even, so that I can, continue to move forward, so that my health can continue to, improve. And this, of course, is an ongoing process. It's something that will continue to do, for the rest of your life. Really, it's long term. The journey means it's long term. It's not something that's like a quick, get, you know how people say get rich quick schemes, or just get rich quick thing. It's not that. It's not a microwave type situation. And I know in our society, we are so quick we want stuff so quick. right? But when it comes to our health, and depending on where we're at, in our health journey, it may take some time, and so, and I know we talk about building muscle, especially as we get older. We need our muscle, we need our, our strength, we need our bones to be, strong and things of that nature. Um, Especially with us as we grow, as we get older, it's known that we're going to lose some muscle mass throughout, every year. And so, even with that being said, the muscle building, the strength training, things like that, we need to at some point face the facts that we need that strength training and everything. But, like for me, I wasn't strength training first. So this is just me saying creating new habits. When I first started, I was just, on my journey, I just was walking. And even with that, I just started building upon the walking. Well, first I started nutrition. I just start there. Started nutrition and cutting back on some of those sugary things, the carby things, cutting back on a lot of it because I had a goal in mind. And so I had to form, like I said, that discipline um, to be able to do what I did, what I accomplished. And within 5 months, people a lot of times don't accomplish years and years and may never accomplish, to be able to get my A1C from a dangerous um, point at a 15.1 to a, back to a 5.6, in 5 months. And I think it probably was a little bit before then, according to my continuous glucose monitor. If I would have got my A1C checked in December, it would have already been a 5.6 at that point. This continuous glucose monitor doesn't actually check your A1C per se, of course, but it does give you some kind of, and I can't remember the name of what it's called, but it's like an area within the CGM app that tells you, it predicts that, you've been, using the CGM for 90 days. And therefore you may be able to, it kind of tells you where your A1C may be. But I can't remember the name of the, because I use the Freestyle Libre, but I can't remember the name of the, that section of the app that gave me that information. But it did tell me that, more than likely my A1C would be at 5.6. And that was in December. And so in January, when I was able to go back to the doctor, it was actually 5.6. But yeah, forming those disciplines of making sure I was eating right. As far as lowering like I said, my carbs down, exercising, walking at the time. And initially, then I built my habit stack. I started walking, and then I started also, doing aerobics, when it came to nutrition. And so that was, so it was nutrition as well as, moving my body. And that was, habit stacking. But I had to get that discipline. I had to learn the discipline to do that so that I can, be able to get that A1C down. One of the things, I did not want to be on insulin, y'all. When they put me on insulin out the gate, that was like, I don't want to, stick myself 3-4 times a day, before I ate food, or, at night and things like that. I didn't want to do that. That was like, no, I don't, but my doctor was like, I have to prescribe it to you, because your insulin was so high. I mean, your A1C was so high, your glucose is extremely high. And so we got to do what we got to do to make sure you get down to that level. So I told them, okay, that's fine. And I did exactly what they asked me to do. But I knew at that time, I'm like, I'm not going to be on this insulin long. I'm not doing it. So that's why I had to, it was like desperate times called for desperate measures. And so therefore I did what I had to do and formed those habits so that I can get off of it. My doctor thought my endocrinologist thought I was going to be on the medication, the insulin, as well as the Manjaro when I got on that a couple of weeks after I started insulin. They thought I was going to be on it for at least a year, if not more, even with them seeing, how my A1C was going down fast. But I was like, oh, no, not Kim J. So I did what I had to do to get it done, to get it down. And, I've been doing a great job with it. But because I developed disciplines, because I continue to do what I need to do. So I've developed consistencies and discipline so that I can, continue to thrive. All right. So hi, Elaine. How are you doing? And that's fine. Oh my gosh. I just got to New York and headed on cruise tomorrow. You have a wonderful time. Have a wonderful time. I'm happy you were able to make it to New York safely. You have a wonderful time on your cruise. And I'm hoping that you will, that everything goes smooth sailing for you and that you come back to us safely. All right. So Z says, hello, beautiful family. How you doing, Z? Hope you're doing well. And Darian is speaking to everyone, to them that's come in the chat. Hey, Bellflower, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Yes. Speedy recovery, Twan. So Didi says, we call downsizing diva for short Didi. Bariatric surgery leads to more significant and sustained weight loss. Read that John Hopkins study when you have time. Surgery is not for me, but an option for some. Yes, it is an option for some. And as you speak to your doctor about it and you determine what you want to do, because of course it's your decision at the end of the day, um, it definitely can help. I know people personally that has had bariatric surgery and they did just fine on it and they're still thriving today. And that was years later. And that's why I said, when I first started, you may be on a GLP-1, you may decide to use bariatric surgery as an option, to help, with weight. You may decide to do it just totally naturally, and that's fine. Whichever way you decide to do it, that's you, you know, um, perfectly fine with it because it's your body, it's your journey. So you have to do what you have to do to make sure that you are, becoming, um, improving upon your health. All right. And not, like I said, just losing weight. Yes, we want to lose weight. Great stuff. Awesome if we do. But, hopefully the goal at some point, if it's not in the beginning, is to, you know, um, be better with your health and overall. Okay, so Real Talking Lane says, so I hope I'm chiming in on the right topic. I had the weight loss surgery in 2013. I think folks should get on a GLP-1 medication within a year. I gained almost 100 pounds back in 10 years. Okay, so you've had it. You got surgery, weight loss surgery, a long time ago, and okay, so you got it, you lost, and then you gained some back, a good little bit back. But now you're on a GLP-1, and so you're letting that help you, continue on your journey. And that's awesome for you. And I did mention earlier in the chat, and Twan had made a comment, Trace of Twan's life, that some people now out the gate after their surgery, they're getting on the GLP-1 medication, to kind of help them with their weight loss journey as well as helping them improve upon their health. Some people decide to wait. Either way, like I said, what's best for you, you talk to your doctor about it, you decide what's best, you and your doctor, and do what you got to do. So Twan says she agrees, Elaine, with the 1 year. If for some reason it's not working, or just that GLP-1s are good to use in conjunction with having the surgery. All right, so Mel B says that's a great point, Kim J. We all need to look at ways that we can be better. get progressively better. Correct. Even though this is a long-term journey, we still need to make better choices. Correct. Correct. And again, sometimes, like I said, out the gate, you may not, for some, you may decide, hey, I just want weight loss, weight loss, weight loss. And that's what your main focus is. But like I said, hopefully at some point in the journey, it shifts to just better health in general. All right. So good evening, Linda McDuffie. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well. Yeah. Okay. Scientific study. Yes, yes. All right. So Linda says, good evening, everybody. Hope everybody had a great day. It appears that everybody, since been on the chat has had a great day. Miss Linda, hope you are. You're having a great day so far. All right. So Mel B says, so Elaine, if you had to do it all over again and had a choice, would you go straight for the GLP-1s or would you have the surgery first? Bellflower says, yes, Didi, twin, surgery saved my life. I didn't do it for a vanity. Yes. And you've done well from what, I see. All right. We understand, Mel. All right. So Didi says, bottom line is people can overeat the GLP-1 medications or stretch your stomach back out with surgery. Lifestyle changes are a must no matter what avenue you take, in my opinion. Research supports that. And I do believe that as well. I do believe that, again, lifestyle changes are very, very important. No matter how you start, this journey, whatever journey you decide to take, to become better with your health, I do believe that, lifestyle change is so important, most important, because that's what's going to get you to see better health. And lifestyle changes include, better eating better, nutrition. Also, like I said, moving your body, making sure you're getting enough sleep, reducing stress, things like that will help. That's just some things. It's other things as well. But yeah, that's some of the things, you know, building muscle, just making sure you stay hydrated. It's so many different things that, when it comes to lifestyle changes. And like I said, you may start off one way, but then as you continue to go, you habit stack, you learn new things, about it. You unlearn some things that you may have thought in the past, and then you relearn some things. And then you become, you end up changing, making lifestyle changes so that you can, continue on this journey and maximize your efforts to efficiently do what needs to be done to better your health. And Bellflower agrees, Didi. All right. So Didi says, I'm so glad it did. Good for you for taking control of your health. Correct. Congratulations again, Bellflower. All right. So Darian says, oh, the glucose management. Yes, indicator. Yes. Thank you, Darian. I when I first started my, the journey to better health in July 2024, and I was in the hospital, one of the care management teams came in and talked to me about the CGM, continuous glucose monitor, and it helps you monitor your glucose very, very efficiently, really, to me. For me, that's how in my opinion, it actually helped me a lot. Know what my glucose was every minute of the day. Like I said, I use this Freestyle Libre. And there, thank you, Darian, again, that, they had a glucose management indicator section within the app that told me, what my A1C was going to be after, it took the results of my glucose readings every day. So there was a section in there that actually told you, every minute what your glucose looks like, right? And it kind of helped us, you know, to let us know how we should eat. If our glucose is very high, if it's too low, or if it's dead smack in the middle like it should be. Before we eat, after we eat, during the time that we eat. It also can let you know how quick your glucose is going up after you ate something. So I think it's a very, very good device for people that, especially those who maybe just starting their journey when they find out they have type 2 diabetes. But it also helps people, just all along their journey. It helps people with A1 that has type 1 diabetes, as well as type 2 diabetes. And for me, I had it out the gate. So when I was in the hospital, they kept sticking me with, the just doing the regular glucose check, um, using a glucose monitor and finger prick. But right before went out the hospital, like I said, somebody came in and they kind of talked to me a little bit about using a continuous glucose monitor, which was great for me because when at first I was scared to use it, which is understandable because like I said, you're putting the device, and it's a little small device, maybe big as maybe a quarter or what is that? Silver dollar. I don't know if some people remember the silver dollar, but it's probably not even that big, but maybe a quarter size. But yeah, you put it on the back of your arm. That's the approved spot for it, and it sits in your arm. For mine, it's sitting there. It's either 10 days or 14 days, and it just helps, like I said, tremendously. So you can kind of learn about how your glucose is going. When you go home. When I went home from the doctor, it helped me know that, and so therefore, like I said, it helped me learn how to eat better. But yeah, so that glucose management indicator, which was an estimate of the A1C based on average glucose levels from the sensor, correct? All right, so Miss Linda's saying, hey to Twan. Everybody's speaking. All right, so Darius says, I'm grateful for those who have had the option to explore to help get healthier. There is room for every experience on this journey, and that is so true. That is so true. And us sharing our experiences, whether we're content creators or in the chat, just especially these live chats, it's like, you know, we're able to help each other, let us give our own personal testimonies of how, you know, our journeys are going. And, it provides help to others, that are on their journey. So we can learn some things from each other. And so therefore, that's why, I put in my community post, we can be better together. We're not alone in this. And so therefore, like I said, you're trying to create disciplines and everything. And sometimes you may not know, what to do, what to look forward to, how to handle certain things. And say, like, for instance, I know people had issues with constipation on both bariatric surgery as well as GLP-1s. And and even just the natural weight loss, people have constipation just in general, even when they're not on a weight loss journey or better health journey. And so just being able to, us to be able to share with each other what we have, done to help us, along the way with things, with different side effects and things, has been a tremendous help to me as well as to others in the community. So Dallas Diva says, hey, Elaine, may I ask you a great question? All right. Kim J. Darium says, your story is such a miracle. So many people with such a high A1C would still be trying to figure out how to get it down. That is so true. That is so true. And again, that's why to me, it's like, okay, have we created the disciplines, the habits, you know, um, to help us along this way, to help us along the journey, to help us, get the A1Cs down, if you're on a weight loss medication to help you, get the weight down, for the weight to come down. And ultimately, again, to help us better our health in general. All right. So Linda says, I'm good dealing with the cold, but you too, man, but I'm fine. Twan, yes. I was out of town and got sick. Yep. I understand that. And I'm supposed to be going out of town. Was it next weekend? And I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm going to make sure that make sure that my immune system is built up before I go out of town. And yeah, so I can be prepared for it, for whatever. Not going to be scared, but I want to be prepared, making sure, like I said, my immune system is built up enough to fight off colds and, and the like. Okay, downsizing deep. I got you. All right. So Darren says, I'm doing well. Good, good. All right. So Real Talk Elaine says, Mel, great question. I would only do GLP-1, the same results without the invasive measures, which y'all saying before, people often do not opt for the surgery or not doing it as much anymore since they know GLP-1s are working as well. So, Elaine has been one that, decided to do the surgery years ago before all these, new GLP-1s came out. And yeah. And so if she had to do it all over again, she's saying that she would do a GLP-1. She said, I hated my surgery and had a lot of complications. So understandably so, you would have chose that. Correct. All right. So Tamika says, yes, the scale is hard to break away from, but the scale can be misleading. Correct. You can lose water and fat, but if you're not careful, possibly lose muscle. That is so true. And, we know we've also been told, even within this community, that people have lost muscle, not just water and fat or, pounds, and inches. People have lost muscle, especially if you're losing it, pretty rapidly, if you're losing weight pretty rapidly. But that's why it's so important. We talk about, quite often on different channels within YouTube and other platforms that, let's try to get some muscle strength building in so that we can try to maintain the muscle we have as much as possible, as well as build upon it. And I know people are like, well, I don't want to be a bodybuilder. I don't want my muscle, some people may say, well, I got muscles already. I don't want to get bigger. Well, again, on the medication and just in general, as we age, like I said before, it's been reported that, we lose muscle, a little bit of muscle, potentially every year. So you won't become a bodybuilder. You have to be intentional about that, when it comes to, strength training. And you can strength train with weights as well as, with resistant bands and things of that nature. That helps a lot. Consistency is key. Correct, Twan. If you learn, like I said, motivation does come at the beginning of these journeys, when you hear people with the success stories. But again, when you find habits, lifestyle changes that you're trying to make or create, consistency is key to help you create those things, and discipline helps you, stay on the course, stay the course. Yes, Elaine, thanks for sharing. So hi Mia, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. So Mia says, I'm listening, getting ready for work. Okay. Great advice to change habits. Sleep is my number one struggle lately on third shift. I got you. I understand. I'm with you on that. Oh my gosh. 120, she lost 124 pounds. Um, so she's lightning to do her best. All right, 140 grams of protein daily. That's awesome, Mia. You get 140 grams of protein. That's great. And you've lost 124 pounds. Awesome, awesome. I understand when you say, just changing the habits, trying to get the sleep in. For me, I that's a struggle for me as well. Now that's one thing too that I was trying to do. A part of my June challenge to try to get sleep, not just to move, 30 minutes a day, which I was successful with that. 30 minutes a day for 30 days. I was successful with that part, but the sleep part I'm still working on. So I got a good amount of sleep, but again, the sleep was not always sound sleep. Um, it may have been interrupted sleep. So I'm trying to build habits with that, so that so that I can do better when it comes to getting sleep. Because, I think about, just in the Bible when they talk about, sleep, how it's important and things of that nature. And, God kind of helps heals us in our sleep. So it's so important to get sleep. Um, Without going too deep into that. All right. So Linda says, well said, Kim J. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Darian says the freestyle libre is a penny. Okay. Well, it looked like it was bigger. It seemed like it was bigger than a penny. Darian says, or should I say two stack? Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It does go out a little bit. All right. Thank you, Darian, for that. Bellflower says, now that doesn't seem aggressive at all. Nope, it's really not. At first, like I said, I was a little scared of it, just because it was something new. But you know, I chose to go ahead and do it because I didn't want to keep sticking my finger. When I was in the hospital, honey, they kept pricking me every couple of hours, and I understood why they had to do it. But my hands start like not feeling numb, my fingers, because they do the tips of your finger, and normally like stick you like like on the side, and it would hurt so bad, so bad. And so I was talking to my sister. She was there when the care management team came, well, late person came in, and she was telling me about the continuous glucose monitor. And I was like, okay, I'm a little scared of that. Like, I got to put that in my body and just let it sit there for 14 days. But she was like, Kim, you might want to try it, because you're saying that, the pricking your finger all day, throughout the day, before you eat and, right before you go to bed, that's a lot, and it's been hurting, and it's making your fingers numb, and it, making it kind of blackish blue and things of that nature. So, like bruising the finger and things. So you may want to do that at least for a while, and it's going to help you, be more beneficial than not for you. And so I just chose, I said, well, let me go ahead and do it. So I did it. And my sister is a nurse, and she works with people on a regular that has to, use a CGM, for short, the acronym of continuous glucose monitor. And yeah. And so she was like, try it and see, you might like it. So when I did it, it was very, very, just like the GLP-1 injection. I was more scared than it really, than needed to be. Doesn't hurt at all. The noise from it probably is more scary than, you putting it in. All right. So Bellflower said, yep, I've said that. All right. Darren says, have a great shift, Mia. Sleep is vitally important. Correct. And yes, Mia, I pray that you get to work safely and that you have a great shift and back home safely. All right, so Linda says one of my friends used that machine to monitor her sugar. She wears hers on the back of her arm too. Yes, and that's the approved spot for it. Some people wear it different places, but the approved spot is to wear it on the back of your arm. And if for some reason, for those who may have, that do wear a continuous glucose monitor, I'm not sure if people that are in the chat that wears it, but I think Darian, you wore it before, and I'm not sure if you still wear it to today. But you can sometimes you can knock against something and it may kind of pop out, or kind of it messes it up a little bit, from like hitting maybe a chair or a wall or something like that. But I had that issue, I think once or twice, and I called the company and let them know, and they asked me where did I have it at, and I told them, in the back of my arm and things like that, and they ended up sending me another monitor for free. But and then they told me, you can put like a little tape over it, and they have some kind of, a tape that you can actually put over it so it won't get, so you hopefully less likely to knock it against something and it comes out. And hopefully Linda, she's able to help her, control her sugars better. All right, so Linda says wear a mask on the plane. So many people are sick. Correct. Hello, Bellflower. How are you doing today? Hope you're doing well. I'm saying, what did I say, Bellflower? I mean Beverly. I'm sorry, baby. Beverly. All right. Twan says hi, Beverly and Darian. Trust me, ain't nobody about to become a bodybuilder, right? Unless they're taking extreme measures. Correct. You have to be actually like really focused and determined to become a bodybuilder, when it comes to strength training. What we're doing, it ain't gonna make you a bodybuilder. It doesn't take those extreme measures, to make sure you're maintaining muscle and just building a little muscle to keep your muscles built. And like I said, I also help you with, bone strength. It's a lot of different reasons why strength training is very important, but those are the two things that come to my mind right off the bat. And sometimes as you get older, people fall. And if you fall, when you're younger, if you fall, a lot of times you heal, right away, real quick. But for those who as you get older, bones become a little bit more fragile. So therefore strength training helps with that. So if you do for some reason fall, you're less likely to hurt something and it stays that way. Or you can, it may even, you may not even actually get hurt or whatever because your bones are stronger. Right. Twan says. All right. So Beverly's checking on mail. Hi, beautiful people. Hi, the Joy Blossom. How are you doing, JB? Hope you're doing well. And she says sleep. All right. So Belby says extreme, as in roads, severely restricted diet, hours of heavy lifting daily, a variety of extracurricular peptides, etc. Correct. You would do this kind of stuff if you were trying to bodybuild, is what Mel is saying, for those who didn't know or just coming in. Linda says, I just learned from my daughter and you all about strength training with weights. My weight management doctor never told me about strength training to build muscles. Shaking my head. So I appreciate you all so much. Linda, me too. My doctor never told me anything about I need to strength train. As much as I go to the doctor, all they told me was to, even now they didn't tell me. And maybe some of the newer doctors that that came along once I got on this journey, like the endocrinologist, the kidney doctor, I wasn't going to them before the journey. I started going to them, after the journey. Same thing with heart doctor. Nobody told me I should strength train. Before I was just being seen by my PCP. I did go to a heart doctor before. because of an irregular ECG. Um, I'm sorry, EKG. Sorry. Um, and I also went to a kidney doctor once before, but my PCP managed my care for forever until this last year when I, developed type 2 diabetes. And yeah, they just told me to just the 150 minutes a day. I mean, a week is I need to exercise. They didn't tell me what exercise. I know some people say, their doctors are telling them definitely now about strength training, which is good, but every doctor probably is not doing that. But I think even at that level, they should say that. So I'm happy about this community as well. Because I learned from the community too. I didn't start. That's one of the reasons why I didn't start strength training at the beginning of my journey, and I only did the walking. I always knew walking was good for you, right? So I did the walking first, and then months later, after I found our community, and was hearing about the strength training and just looking at different, not just us, but people in our community, but even other people. Because I would always look at people strength training, but I just wasn't doing a whole lot of it. It's like it was entertainment, I guess. Or okay, when was on a weight loss journey in the past, I may have said, okay, well, let me do some resistance training or whatever. But I'm talking about going into it like all in, both feet in. I didn't start until now. And I started strength training, I think, in November, sporadically doing it, and then in December, I've said, okay, I'm gonna do it, like try to do it 3 times a week, more consistently do it. And at the end of the month, me and my accountability partner for exercise kind of about an exercise accountability partner, APA for short. Whew, tongue tied. Which is Downsides and Diva, Didi. We decided to get together and we started, strength training together in December, at the end of December, and took it into, the 2025. Mia says, I have changed dramatically. I couldn't win the war on obesity in a few months. It's taken a lot of struggle to build and learn what works for me. Correct. I can see that, and that same thing for me as well, Mia. Recently started HRT, so these new medications help. Oh, look at you, HRTs. All right, you are on. You're in on the HRT in the community also. Okay, great, great. I'll be talking to my doctor soon about it. My GYN. I did talk to my endocrinologist about just a little bit about the HRTs, but he said to go ahead and get my mammogram first before I do it, and so I had to wait, until a certain time of the year to get the mammogram before I could, and as long as that come back okay, then he was like, I can go ahead and prescribe you some things for it. So because of my symptoms and my age, as well as I've had a partial hysterectomy too. So um so he didn't have to do like extra tests and all that stuff. So rest is improving on HRT. Okay. Yeah. Roids. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So progesterone and estrogen is what Mia is on. Okay. All right, Mia. So like for me, I won't have to get the progesterone since I had it depends on if you have a uterus still and all that. Some people do, even though they may have had a partial or a full hysterectomy, they still may be prescribed the progesterone, but a lot of people don't. But the estrogen, yes. Um, all right, so Darian says, I am with you, Kim J. They prick the finger and it's likely they stab the tips without regard. Right. And they don't feel the they don't feel the pain. So it's just like, oh my gosh. And like I said, every time you turn around, they were coming in that room pricking his finger. And I'm like, oh, can you just do it? So I started making them do it like on the meaty part of my finger, because I'm like, that is hurting on the side. my fingers are small. So, I'm like, y'all gotta, we gotta figure out something else. But they had to do it because they was trying to get my glucose down to to better ranges. When I went in the hospital, it was like, I think between 401 and 403 was my glucose levels. Um, and I shouldn't say that was before. I'm sorry. I went in the hospital. When I went into the emergency room, it had gone down a little bit to three. I think it was 80 something. When I first went into the ER, and yeah, they needed to get it down to like the lower 100s, lower to mid 100s before I could go home. So, that was their main focus. They're like, you're going to have to endure this little pain. We got to do what we got to do to make sure that you're good, to release you to go home, and, start your journey. So Bellflower says, those docs and nurses are a bit too rough with the finger. Yes, with the fingerprints. They are. But like I said, they know they're not getting it done. It's not being done to them. So they don't, it's like whatever. Darren says, I'm still wearing my, okay, you are still wearing it. Okay, I thought so, but I didn't want to overstate. And that's going well for you, Darian, correct? Mia says, thanks very much, Darian. You are so thoughtful, even though they razz you all the time. A gentleman is valuable. Correct. Good job, Mia. Darian says, Mia, the razzing is always out of love. Correct. That's so true. These ladies are like my siblings for sure. Correct. That's so true. Thank you, the Mel B. All right. So Isarium says, the Mel B, have you ever considered bodybuilding? Good question, Darium. Darium, not at all. Your face changes. I don't like the look for women. I don't like, I guess you're saying that look for women. And I know someone who went down that road in Texas. She regretted how far she took it. I can understand that. Oh, okay. Darium says. All right. So the joyful blossoms, JB says, you are so right about falling. What you are saying is confirmation. Thank you so much. You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Doctors didn't used to say anything about strength training, just cardio. Correct. Thank you for bringing this information to the chat. Yes, yes. And like I said, even up until recent, I mean, never said anything about it. Just the cardio or the walking and things which walking is a part of cardio, and it's good for health, right? So it's good to help with heart health. So they were big on that, especially if you have heart issues or family history of heart disease, or or high blood pressure, hypertension. They're going to talk about that. Making sure we get that cardio in. Mia says, Mitty is who I went to. A fabulous experience. Highly recommended them. I do remember you saying that, Mia, in another live. Yes. Mitty is a great source. Mia is saying if you are thinking about HRT medication to help through perimenopause and menopause, postmenopause, and of the like. All right, good for you, Mel. Mel says, Mel definitely highly recommends it. She's an advocate for HRTs. Was it bio-identical HRTs, to be specific? Yep, MIDI. Wait a minute. Okay. All right. So, hi, Miss Linda. How are you doing? That's okay. You're here. You're right on time. All right, you're here when you're supposed to be. All right. So, good evening, Miss Linda. Darium says. Melby says, I swear some doctors set expectations so low for us. It is unacceptable. Correct, Mel. It is that's true. And some people just don't know. Some of the doctors don't know. When they go to school, they learn a certain thing and they go by the books. They have to, go by the laws that they've set for them. And so some people just, they don't even know about, for instance, HRTs. They haven't learned a lot about it. They haven't learned a lot about GLP-1 medications, so some of them are just, they just don't know. And some people have to go back to school. Well, really, they have to go back to school to learn about, these specific things, so that they can help their patients, better help their patients. But some of them, they're doing all they know, and they're doing what they have to do. Even if they, sidebar know it's good, they still may not talk about it because they don't want to get sued if something happens. So I get it to a certain extent, but I think they need to kind of put some of this stuff, since so many people are having it, they need to put that as a course, or a few, so that they can learn it while they're trying to get their, degrees, or at least their licenses. Make it an ongoing, thing to study. But I do think and appreciate, people that go and come on YouTube and, and just in different websites, vlogs, blogs, do those things, that are the celebrities and things of that, and people of that nature, scientists, doctors, and everything, that's trying to help us learn this stuff, more widespread, so that we can, better our health. And we can, form the habits and the disciplines around it so that we can, thrive as a people. All right. So Melby says they also don't always respect our pain. Correct. Which is what we were kind of talking about a little bit earlier, with those finger pricks. When they ask me my pain level from 1 to 10, I say 9. They think we should white knuckle it. Right. And I know when I was in the hospital at one point, they were telling me, don't even wait to, like, if you, say if they're trying to give you medication, don't even wait to get to a, 7, 8, 9, 10, to before you ask for help. You need to try to ask for it early so that, they can go ahead on and give you the medication that you need. So you won't be in so much pain, because when you're, or, you won't have so many issues, so for me, like I had stated before in, with on my journey, sharing with you all, I was like, hey, I found out about Manjaro early on, before I found out I had type 2 diabetes. And I was like, hello, can I get Manjaro? Can I be prescribed Manjaro? Because at first they were going to do insulin and metformin. And I knew about the metformin, never took it before, but knew people that took it, that's very, very close to me, as well as people, just in passing. And, I was like, no, don't put me on that. Put me on Manjaro, because I knew Manjaro was a medication that could help me lower my A1C. It was a once a week injection. And I would rather take a once a week injection than a pill every day, because I'm already taking other pills, so I didn't want to take another pill. So I was like, that's a win for me to have, to be able to lower my A1C and better manage it, as well as it's only one injection per week. Yeah, sign me up. And it also can help me with weight loss, and it can help me, with other things that I was going through, like hypertension, sleep apnea, which I was never diagnosed with sleep apnea, but the way I snored, yeah, more than like I had sleep apnea. But like I said, now my A1C is under control, managing it well. My blood pressure, has been back in the normal range, and my and I'm not snoring anymore. If I do, it's very, very light from what I was told, by my husband, my family members, is very, very light. Before, they could hear me all over the house. So yeah, I understand you, Mel B, when it comes to that, because you like, hurry up and give me my medicine. Don't be taking forever to give me my medicine. Let me go ahead and get it in so that I can become better faster. All right. So Bellflower says absolutely 100% male, which is why we must advocate for ourselves. Correct. Correct. We all are, some of us are, making sure that we continue to say advocate for yourself, advocate for yourself. Because a lot of times, if you don't, who will? If you don't, who will? And even within advocating for yourself, you got to do that for yourself at home as well. Again, because we're talking about discipline here, we're talking about being consistent here, and within this live and building these habits, not just thinking about the scale, you know but thinking about making sure that our health improves in its totality, building the habits, the lifestyle habits, to change the trajectory of you know how everything was going in the past. We gotta advocate for ourselves. We got to be there for ourselves. We have to love ourselves enough to say, hey, enough is enough. I can no longer just keep going day by day and not being deliberately doing something to change the trajectory of my health as a whole. Again, not just about weight loss, it's far beyond weight loss. Yes, we want to lose weight, but it's this journey. It should be far beyond weight loss. It should be better health, managing your health. Managing any disease you have or getting rid of it altogether. So that you can live a more vibrant life, so that you can live a long life, and so you want to show up for yourself. All right, so LB says true. They have to get additional training for menopause, weight management. My doctor said that as I complained about my previous CP. Yes, yes, that is so true. Additional training definitely will help us help with weight management as well as menopause and so many other things. So many other things. Even when it comes down to, if you have hypertension, you have an A1C, they do have some, they gave me um, some information, um, pamphlets and everything about how I can lower my A1C, my glucose first, of course, and then my A1C ultimately, how to eat um, to help me with that. They also talked a little bit about, like I said, exercise, but they kind of gave me some information about it in the beginning. But I was in the hospital, and so they had, like I said, a care management team, a dietitian, to come over to me and talk to me about it in my room to let me know and give me a couple of pamphlets about it. But even with that, that definitely helped me as well. With what I needed to do to kind of help me along the journey with lowering the A1C. And I can tell you right now, I know some people, I still see people in our chats and things saying, hey, you can't eat this, you can't eat that, you can't eat that. And new research has stated that, it's a lot of things that we can eat that we may not have been able to eat before. Say for instance, fruit, um, a lot of people think that we can only eat berries now and berries only, because those are low, in sugar or rarely any sugar in it. But, you can eat other things as well. When I was in the hospital, they fed me like a little bowl, their stuff is so small, but which is good. Portion size is very, very good. But, and portion control, but they gave me like a little fruit cup with my foods, and they had a pineapple in it. Now, something, people like, wait a minute, they gave you a pineapple? What, or a cantaloupe, they gave things like that, a banana, but it was like a little, one or two pineapples, one or two grapes, so very, very little. But I needed the sugar because, of course, again, the sugar gives you energy, your body fuels off of, carbs and things of that nature. And it wasn't like it was straight sugar. Now, when it came to, giving me tea, they gave me a sweet and low or equal, um, it wasn't like, okay, I'm gonna give you table sugar and things like that. But when it comes to fruit, no longer do you have to say, okay, these are off limits altogether. It's now trying to figure out how to, because when you tell people that they can't do anything, take this off, take this, can't do this, can't do that, can't. When you hear a lot of can't do's, this it's gonna make that person's life sometimes hard, they're going to think it's hard for them and impossible at times for them to give up everything. And so they made it a way now to help us, you know, be able to eat more intuitive, making sure that we are not missing out on the different food groups, but teaching us how to eat better. And that's why, I also say, if you don't have a dietitian or a nutritionist, maybe you want to, talk to one, even if it's 1 or 2 times, so that you can kind of get some help along your journey. And I'm talking about the A1C, whatever, but that's even with blood pressure, kidney disease, heart disease, just whatever your ailments are, that dietitian can help you, so that you can know how to eat, in a more in a more nutritious way. All right. So Linda says, "Hi, Twan. Yes, I agree, Nicole." That's Bellflower. All right. So Bellflower says, "Some don't even respect it during childbirth." Correct. That's so true. All right. The male B says, "And that's crazy." Correct. All right. So the Joyful Blossom, JB says, "My gynecologist last month said nothing about what to expect when I told her that I think I'm having hot flashes. She just wrote it down in the chart. No education. I've been online looking for info." Yes, that's so true. I don't remember my GLP one, my gynecologist, my GYN, talking about the hot flashes either. When I told, they'll ask you, "Well, how are you doing?" And you tell them, "Okay, well, I'm having hot flashes. I'm doing this. I'm having, night sweats, day sweats, getting cold, things of that nature. I'm maybe having urinary incontinence. I'm having, issues, hurtful sex, whatever, you may be having. It hurts when I use the bathroom, like, urinate or whatever." And those are just different, some things that people are having issues with, or even, finding out you have PCOS. They don't always they don't educate you on what you need to do. And so again, I wish they would, and hopefully at some point, they'll get better with that. But yeah, a lot of times we just don't know, and we have to look up stuff ourselves, or have to, and even look it up, before we go to the doctor, so that we can and write a list down and just make them kind of talk to you about it. And they may not know how to answer some of the questions, but they can give you a little something, on it, and maybe give you some. And a lot of times I ask them, "Do you have any literature on it? So I can take it home with me." But I am big on, trying to research things, even on these lives. If it's something I don't know, or want to talk a little bit more about, you may hear some clicking on this computer, because I'm trying to, make sure that we get to the bottom of it, or get a good answer, from a reliable source on, maybe Google or whatever at the time. But I'm very big on trying to research things, and, just trying to understand, and also help people, along their way when they're not understanding, or don't want to research them for themselves and things of that nature. I'm not a doctor. Don't profess to be one. Don't act like I don't try to be one, but, I can share my own journey. I can share journeys of maybe somebody that I know personally, that I'm, um, that has done some things, have gone through some things, and, you know, just kind of give you some ideas, and you can talk to your doctor about it. Like I said, write things down. When you start researching, just write stuff down, so that when you're at the doctor's office, don't try to don't try to use memory, go by memory, because a lot of times, they're trying to go so fast with you. Everything is so quick. Again, everything is like microwave, um, in microwave time. But go ahead on and write it down, so you can say, "Hey, I have some questions," and just start asking questions, and making them help you as best as they know how. But yeah, going online, when you go online to look for it, just make sure you're looking for reputable sources. Um, like, for instance, you got a Mayo Clinic, that the Mayo Clinic, if for those who may know about Mayo Clinic, they have studies out about so many different things. You have different case studies that's out there. But if it's somebody that um, that deals with this thing on a daily, the particular topic that you're looking for, make sure you go into those sources, not and then read a couple different articles on it, just to kind of see, to make sure that you're, getting the some good information, not just going with the first thing you see, because that can be a whole nother thing. Like you can look up, oh, I'm having issues, I'm having headaches, and that could mean a million things. It could mean a million things. You could be having symptom, that one symptom can, you can be diagnosed with so much. And a lot of things, some things, when you're reading on the internet, it may say, okay, well, you may lose a leg, if you have it, if this is the issue or whatever. And then it gets you all scared up. And it was just, you needed some electrolyte water. It could be just as simple as that, so I say, be careful what you're, when you do research, just be careful. You still need your doctor, like I said, write things down, let them know what you're going through. If, some things you can't figure out on your own, because you're, like I said, looking at different sources and seeing, what the masses say about it, so that you can, make a good decision for yourself. Mia says, I just went in with a list of meds I wanted, but because it would all help with my different struggles, and my doctor said okay, and just had to ask, wasn't told by him. Correct. So me too, is the same thing with Manjaro. I actually asked for it, and she prescribed it for me, and I'm happy I did, because I may not have been this far along without the medication. So Mel agrees with you, Mia. All right. JB says, yes, ma'am. Advocate. I'm learning that. Right. Being vocal about it. Correct. Because a lot of times we sit in silence, or we don't want to, bother the doctors. I know they got a lot more patients and things that I know, sometimes that goes through our mind, but, or you trying to rush yourself out you done sat in the lobby forever, and now you're trying to hurry up because you got to get back to maybe your job or whatever. So you're trying to, move quick, or just sick of being in a doctor's office or whatever. But yeah, you got to advocate for yourself. You got to take that time out and make them take some time out. I know you can't be there for hours, but, make sure they're helping you with some of it, if not all of it. Even if you have to do another appointment at a later date, do what you got to do. JB says, preach, Kim. Jay. Mel says, Alloy or MediHealth are good options, JB. Okay. Thank you for that, Mel, as well as Mia again. Thank you. Hold on, y'all. Uh-oh. And I'm trying to get this information as well. So I'm about to just take a little picture of it real quick. All right. Okay, so the Melby says the health insurance industry has developed these arbitrary guidelines that are outdated. Correct. And so yeah, they need to beef it up. They need to beef it up when it comes to making sure, like I said, ongoing learning when it comes to new medications, new ways of helping people in general. We're not just numbers. We're patients, we're people, we're humans, and we want, a lot of us are really, trying to make sure that our health is improving. So yeah, they definitely need to make sure they stay abreast on, new things, because it's new medications being discovered, all the time now. And I can tell, some doctors, when they are, even with blood pressure medicine, they're giving you those old blood pressure medicines, or keeping you on them forever, and never saying, and even though it may not be helping you, they haven't even thought about putting you on maybe a newer medication, or whatever, because they don't know about it. They're not learning enough about it. And even if they don't go to school, they have to keep their heads in the books, keep their heads in the, like I said, stay up on the new medications and researching themselves so they can better help their patients. So hopefully at some point, and a lot of people are doing that nowadays. There are some doctors out there that are, trying to stay up with medications and up with the new things that's coming along, but it's still a whole lot of them that's not. And like I said, some of them, their hands are tied, unfortunately, because just the way the system works. And that's why a lot of doctors, have gone to their own practices and got out of the healthcare system altogether and just started their own practices so that they can, do things they know that is more beneficial to their patients. All right, so Mel B says, and might I add, sorry, developed by a male centric system. I get so frustrated seeing us suffer unnecessarily. And I feel you on that, Mel. I feel you on that. All right, so Mia says, you guys help me find the right medication for me. Wealth of knowledge in this chat. Can't stress enough how grateful I am for this. And I agree wholeheartedly, Mia. I feel the same way. Wealth of knowledge. So whoever is thinking, hey, do I want to, start a GLP-1 medication, and I'm putting that to the forefront versus the weight loss surgery because I haven't had the weight loss surgery. But either way, on my channel, I'm welcome to both, or even if you're just on a weight loss journey or just on a better health journey. Because again, my focus is better health, but I will talk about A1C a lot because that was probably my biggest scare, first of all. But like I said, I have hypertension, even though it's, my blood pressure is in a normal range, using the medications that I use, Manjaro, as well as, I use Losartan 100, and and it helps protect, my blood pressure as well as kidneys. And then, I have kidney disease as well. So, had blood pressure first, then kidney disease for years, and then more recently, like I said, developed type 2 diabetes. And so, like I said, enough is enough. And it's important for me to make sure that, and I'm getting older, so I don't bounce back as quick. So I got to do what I got to do. And I challenge you to do the same. But yeah, I think we need to make sure that, that we get into find a community and, because we can help. We can help. Even though we're not doctors, like I said, we know firsthand. We have firsthand experience. Some doctors, yes, they give you the medication, but they never used it before. So they can only tell you what they heard, what statistics says. But we can give you even more, on the weight loss journeys that we're on or on the better health journeys that we're on. So good for you, JB. Mel says, the joyful. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna say JB if that's okay with you. Let me know. Thank you for that resource, Mel B. I'll do some research on it. I haven't heard of it before. I arrived to the chat late. All right. Thank you, Mel B, for helping with that. Great point, Kim. Has anyone ever gotten morbidly sick eating bananas and oranges? Good question. Yeah, good question. I know I haven't. All right. So the email B says, of course. And like I said, just to go back to that, it's all about portion control, right? Portion control when it comes to, what you're eating. The email B says, of course, you're very welcome. I'm always around and always happy to advocate for women's health. Yes. And we call Mel B in our community our, what are you, CCO? Is it CCO or COO? I don't forgot. Now, we haven't said it in a while. Is it COO? I think it's COO. But she's, no, CCO, content creator. officer. But yeah, she definitely helps us. She advocates for HRTs, for women's health in general. And Mel B has a lot. She has a lot of knowledge about it when it comes to women's health, and shares a lot with us. But yes, these GLP-1 streets in our community, if you want to learn some things, jump into our go come on and follow us, like, comment, and subscribe, so that you can learn a little bit more about some things, a lot more for some people. And yeah, we're here to help, we're here to encourage, we're here to cheer you on. Our community, I don't remember I don't remember ever seeing anybody um down downplaying what we're doing, or not helping each other out. you know so yeah, this community is very, very supportive, and very encouraging, and know a whole lot about a whole lot of things. So yeah, Felicia says, you are so amazing, the Mel B. Yes, she is. Darian says, I love when you get in your advocacy bag, the Mel B. Correct. Yes. All right. So Mel B says, in this arbitrary system, they'd rather put you on antidepressants. And that's what they do a lot of times when when you need HRTs instead. They made up this arbitrary timeline, 1 year without a period, then voila, you may now be given relief. And yeah, that's not that's not good. That's not good. That's so far from the truth. you know we may be dealing with things for the rest of our lives, these things. And it's a whole list of things I didn't even know, but I learned, from this community, of symptoms of, being in menopause. And also men go through, you know, some of these things as well when it comes to, just getting older. Um, okay, so Mel B, she says, I get extra. I mean, I think you're passionate about, women's health. And something about men's health too, but which probably we don't have as many men that come forth in the chats. They may be listening at some of us, but they don't always come forth. Darian is very, very supportive, and he comes in with a wealth of knowledge, and he helps encourage us all and give us tell us things that he's learned along the way. And not a doctor, but he you live and you learn, right? You live and you learn. So same thing with Mel. She's very good. Darren is our CEO, whether you like it or not. But we call him King Darian, with him being our CEO, but of the content creator community. They don't want channels, but even though we say, y'all might need some channels, because they know a lot of stuff. We've learned a lot from them too, Mel as well as Darian. And just so many of us, have shared, like I said, our journey, and just things that they've learned along the way, which is very, very helpful to anybody. For people that are just coming in, people that like I said, are on the fence about the GLP-1 medication, people that are just on a weight loss journey in general. We have a wealth of knowledge here, and don't have degrees in doctors, or or some of us are maybe a doctor, but they come in as a to learn themselves, so they humble themselves to actually learn, and to provide support and things of that nature within our community. They don't come with, oh, I'm a doctor, I know everything. All right, so Darian says, I always ask my doctor if I can record the session. That's a good thing, Darian. That is awesome if they allow you to do so. I told her that she says so many good things that I don't want to miss anything. That is so true. That's so true. That would be great if they allow you to. I have seen people, content creators that I follow outside of the GLP-1 community, that have gone to the doctor and they ask, can they record? And they, the doctor's like, yeah, sure. Because, another thing when it comes to menopause or just aging in general, sometimes you forget things a little easier, than when you before or whatever. And sometimes, they're pouring so much into you at the office, like I said, you may forget to ask a question. That's why I said write things down before you go to the doctor. You may, because y'all start talking about one thing, you may forget, like I said, to ask the question. Or you just, they're giving you so much that you may not remember. So that's a good idea, Darian. Thanks for sharing, that maybe recording it so that you can go back and, and listen at it again so that, you can make sure you don't miss anything that they may have told you. So Mel B says, and don't start me on men and their issues with andropause. Girl, go ahead and talk about it. But hey, we need to know. We need to know. And for menopause, even though men a lot of times, of course, in the chat, they don't touch it at all with the 10 feet pole. But, they let us women just kind of, chat about it and things like that. But, I think a lot of times we're silent about all of it, or think we're, going through this alone. And again, how we habit stack, how we, learn discipline, to continue on our journey if we don't talk about these things. So, again, Mel B, I thank you for bringing this stuff to our attention. I know other people, Downstairs Diva, she talked about HRTs and menopause and things like that, perimenopause on her channel as well. And, a lot of us wouldn't know what we know now, if the subject wasn't brought up. So, again, even with men, a lot of times they definitely ain't talking about nothing, when it comes to health, sometimes, not all the time. And so, but they want to learn too, even if they're not vocalizing it that they want to learn, but they want to, so I think it's good to even talk about andropause. And even though like we talk about the menopause for us as women, our significant others or, our family members that are males, they need to understand it, I think, about menopause so that they can understand the women in their lives, what they're going through a little bit better, and vice versa. That we are understanding what andropause is. I never even knew anything that there was a such thing as andropause, until I heard it from you all. And then, like I said, just listening at other people on, on YouTube. Okay, so Darium says, yes, please tell us about the andropause. Wow, Darium, Mel says, Felicia, she's loving you, showing you some love. Mel is, Darium is coming, my brother. I know that's right. That'll be good. All right, so JB says, hey y'all, I hop in for a quick minute after my daughter's scrimmage, but I have to hop off. I don't want to. I don't want to. This has been amazing. Have a great evening. I hope you're doing well. I'm not sure if you're still listening, JB, but I hope you're doing well. And thank you for coming in. Hope your daughter did a great job on the scrimmage game. All right, and thank you for your insight and your questions. All right, so good night, JB. Mel says, take care, JB. All right, COOs and of the CCS is correct. COOs of the CCS is correct. So CCS is content creator supporters. Yes, and we know what COO mean. All right, so as Darium says, she's the chief officer. Okay, so you broke it down. Chief operation officer. She makes things move and shake for the content creator supporter. She does that. She does her job well. Yes, Downstairs Diva said good eye, everyone. It's that good night, maybe. Yep, good night. All right. Good night, Didi. All right. So Darren says, did you hit the like button? Are you subscribed? Did you ring the notification bell? If not, I hope you do so. Hope you're enjoying this live. I hope everybody's enjoying the live tonight. Again, you can see that there are a lot of people that are supportive. very encouraging, as well as, very knowledgeable, because they're, like I said, they're doing the thing themselves. And Darian, yes, CEO. You can't get around it, Darian. All right. Night, Dee. Good night. Everybody saying good night to Dee. All right. So Mel says, I need to get some rest, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Kim. Great live, my dear. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Good night, Mel. All right. So I'm hoping y'all, this is, hold on, we've been on here. Yep. I'm hoping you all that this has helped you all tonight. When it comes down to, just making sure you stay on the course, that you are finding ways to form discipline habits, so that when motivation again, because motivation again comes and goes. And so the discipline habits and the habit stacking, building consistency, those things are going to help us on our day-to-day journey, right? It's going to help us. So we want to make sure that we are learning disciplines so that we can. And this is probably going to be a series. This will be a series. It's and we'll talk about it. And I'll go on every Tuesday night. 7:45 is the time I'm planning on being on live, so that we can talk it out. And yeah, I'm really, really excited about it. Just continuing on this journey with you all. So just to kind of just go in a little bit, with this, just a little bit more in this. We know that, sometimes discipline is hard, right? It's very, very hard sometimes with people. But remember, we're not trying to be perfect. We want to try to just make sure we're choosing, better habits day by day, right? When we're on this GLP-1, we know sometimes results, are fast for some people, a lot of people, really. But we want to make sure that, we are being disciplined, or like I said, creating habits of being disciplined and creating and being very consistent with what we're doing, changing things and tweaking things as we need it. Like I said, habit stacking things so that, that the discipline will last. Even when the scale is not going down, even when, like I said, the blood work may not come back, like you want it to. For instance, for me, yes, my A1C went down really, really good, very, very quick. However, my cholesterol started acting up, and it could be because of my age, because I'm in, some sort of menopause stage, or it could be because of the, I know some people say when they, with them being on GLP-1, sometimes it did, it fluctuated or whatever, the HDL and the LDL, or just the total cholesterol has fluctuated, either better or worse. But, that was sad for me, but I want to keep going because I have formed those disciplines. So that's why it's so important, even though it may be hard, some struggles with, this when it comes to discipline. It's like, skipping meals, or you're not moving enough, or, another one, the scale, like I said, obsession of the scale, like we talked about a little earlier, the guilt and the shame, which those things we don't want to do. We don't want to skip meals. Now we're intermittent fasting. That's one thing, because now you've made a habit to do so that it may help you improve your insulin levels, or it could, it's a lot of different things, reasons why people intermittent fast that is, good for you. And I can talk about it a little later on when it comes to that. If you all would like me to, well, I'll probably do it anyway, but, not moving enough. We know we need to move more, so we need to create that habit of moving more, making sure we're eating enough foods, because too less of foods or calories, that can tank your, your scale victories, as well as your non-scale victories as well. And then, like I said, just don't be obsessed with the scale, though. Yes, get on the scale, check it out. If you want to do it daily, that's fine. But make sure it's not because of obsession, you know. Because when you're thinking so hard on that particular thing, that one thing, and all the time about it, like I said, it can derail you, and it can make you, start feeling a certain way, in a negative way, creating negativity around your journey. or whatever, because you're obsessed with it versus, just using it for as a tool to help you along your way. So me, I normally, most of the week, I weigh myself almost daily, but I'm doing it to make sure that, you know, to know that, okay, what I ate yesterday, did it help me, or was it, a hindrance for me when it comes to weight loss? Did I eat too much? So I'm using a tracking system, maybe so I can make sure I'm not eating way over my calories that I'm supposed to eat, or weight or too little, and things like that. Um, I'm also, you know, I do intermittent fast, and that helps me on insulin resistance, so that I can become more insulin sensitive and not, so insulin resistant, because that's, one of the reasons why, it got so out of whack that my A1C went too far up. And so now, of course, I was diagnosed with diabetes. So those type things. And I don't want it to be guilt, because I'm not doing certain things. I have to give myself grace, so just, even though it might be hard for discipline habits to form, it's very, very much so worth forming them, so that you can, like I said, continue to move. It's very necessary, so that you can continue to move forward and not, jump off the better health journey. And discipline versus motivation. Like, you want, like I said, motivation is great, but it's fickle, right? Um, but discipline helps. It does not fade, like motivation does. Um, it helps you when you have the slows or the no's, when everything look like it's bleak. It helps you continue to move forward. And like I said before, it's going to, at some point, it may be a day, it may be a week, it may be a month, it may be I don't know how long it's going to be, but at some point, you it has to help. The more you do, the better you get at it. That's consistency. But with the consistent things that you're doing and the tweaking that you may do, when you're listening at different people, and you're learning things by Google, by Chat GPT, by listening at YouTube, by social media, whatever, and you finding out that those things are reputable, that they're true, or whatever, you stack those habits, and it has to help you at some point. It has to, you know, not only be in that spiritual realm of it's working, but also you'll start seeing it at some point on the scale, within your blood work results, when you're looking at your body, you start seeing those non-scale victories and things of that nature, as well as the scale is going to move if you're in that calorie deficit, and you're doing all the things you're supposed to do. Yeah. So simple ways to form the new disciplines is, like I said, I started off walking, just walking. You can start off walking very slow. You can, you can do, say, 5 minutes a day, at a time. I'm sorry. You can do 5 minutes at a time. If you were on the couch doing nothing, those 5 minutes are going to add up, you can journal. Like I said, I track, which is a form of journaling. Um, or, you can pre-check your meals, if you think that it's easier for you, because you want to make it as simple as possible to form these habits. So you can pre-track those meals. You can meal prep. Those things can help you along your way. Um, or meal plan, even if you don't like meal prepping, because sometimes meal prepping can be overwhelming to people. So you can meal plan. For me, I don't meal prep. I don't even meal plan, but I often make enough for leftovers. That helps me. So I won't be in the kitchen all the time. What it feels like all the time, or whatever, or for a long, long time. So if I prep if I, plan my meal even right before I actually cook it, if I make sure I have enough, then that means on a Monday, if I make the meal, then on Tuesday, maybe I can have leftovers and I won't have to be in the kitchen as long. Because some people just don't like cooking all the time. But we know that cooking helps us more on this journey, because, we know what we're putting in the food, right? And we can manage it a little bit better. So versus going out all the time or whatever, or getting, even prepackaged meals. We know what's in our foods because we were the ones that put it in the foods. so we can be a little bit more mindful when we do those things. But even if, like I said, you can't pre-track your meals or like prep your meals, or which is good for some people it's not, then like I said, make enough for leftovers. You can start somewhere, right? And then like I said, you can use a habit tracker now for people that don't like, writing it down with pen and, using pen and paper anymore. Or you can do pen and paper. Some people love pen and paper. They don't want to do the apps, or they don't have enough room on their phone to have all these apps. But whatever you need to do to make sure that you're creating this discipline and that you're holding yourself accountable, so that you can help yourself grow. And then you have to make sure you have your non-negotiables and everything. So again, like at one point when I was trying to learn how to drink water, now I love it. But when I tried to learn how to drink water, what I did was I said, hey, and I shared with you all before on, I think, one of the lives, I said, I'm going to drink water with my food. Right. And then after I finish, my food and everything, and say maybe 30 minutes later, if I still want something to drink, then I'll get my tea, or my soda or whatever. That's what I did. And this was way before, I started this journey, but I did that. And that's what helped me learn to drink more water, or I had to put it in small cups versus those, big, like cups like this. Now I can do this with no problem, which I think is like a 40 ounce or something. But I had to do like small cups, or if you do bottled water, do the little small bottles of water first, and then you can gradually go up to the big bottles. Like I said, walking 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day after a meal, that helps with your A1C. It helps with your insulin resistance. It helps it helps your body break down the glucose, because your glucose, it spikes a little bit, your insulin spikes a little bit. When you're eating, depending on what you're eating, it can spike a lot. But that 5-minute walk can help you, or 10-minute walk can help you better control that. Especially if you're a diabetic, but definitely, like I said, even if you're insulin resistant, or don't want to become insulin resistant, that helps. So just finding things like that helps. And then, just like I said, being consistent with it all, starting off doing one thing and just, okay, I'm going to do it 5 minutes. All right. So then, after you start getting better with the 5 minutes a day, okay, now I'm going to do it 10 minutes. I'm going to do it 30 minutes. I'm going to beef it up. And that's when I was talking about on one of my shorts, I was talking about leveling up. I have to learn I'm deciding to level up in my life right now because I want to, be better. I want to do better. And again, create these consistent habits and create these disciplinaries so that I can, ultimately be the best Kim J she can be. And that mindset shift is so important, of course, when it comes to this stuff, because if you don't shift your mind from that all or nothing mentality, or, or just, oh, I'll do it Monday, or I'll do it this day, or, oh, I'm too old for it, I'm too young for it, or whatever, that mindset shift has to happen, or it's too hard, or things like that. You have to shift that mind so that you can know that doing, choosing these lifestyle changes, these lifestyle habits, that's going to better your health, that at some point it's going to do that. It's going to do just that. It's going to help you if you do what you need to do and stick to, the things that the goals that you have set aside for yourself. And just, and praising yourself for doing these things that, these goals that you set for yourself, which I challenge you to do. Set some goals for yourself, new goals, and tweak your old goals and try to get done, be better at them. And of course, like I said, it's going to help you in the long run, whether you see it today, tomorrow, or within a year's time. It's worth it, because at some point you're going to get to that point to see it, if you do what you're supposed to do, if you do what you need to do. And make sure you're choosing progression or progress, over perfection. Try not to be a perfectionist. Try not to look for only perfection, You may be able to perfect some things, but the biggest thing in making sure is that you're progressing along your journey. You don't want to be stuck in the same place, mind, body, and soul. You may be stuck sometimes with the scale. You may be stuck sometimes, on a particular number when it comes down to, your blood work. But even so, you still need to make sure, that you keep going, because at some point, like I said, it's going to pan out in the end. It's going to pan out. And if you're a person of faith, pray about it. Pray about everything. Make sure God is in the center of, what you're doing. Talk to him about it. Let him know, what's on your mind. He cares for you. He's going to help you. He is your help. Jesus is your help. And, he wants you to live long. And so therefore, you have to do what you got to do. And, have that faith that what you're doing is going to work out at some point. And also do the work that it takes to make sure that you will reap the benefits of your work that you did. And try to work smarter, not harder. Okay. I'm not sure if you heard that, little phrase before. Try to work smarter, not harder. At first, it's going to, like I said, it may feel hard and overwhelming, but if you have a positive mindset, it will help you, keep that smile on your face. And like I said, non-scale victories is so important to make sure that you're, keeping tally of your non-scale victories as well as your scale victories, so that you can keep that motivation going too. So I think motivation, consistency, discipline, all of it goes hand in hand to make sure that your journey is a successful one. Yep, I think so. So let's see if there's somebody else saying anything. No. Okay. All right. So yeah, so that's what I had to say today. So I hope you all, for those who are still with me right now or listening on the live at the replay, I hope this has been another great topic for you, and you've gotten something out of this tonight, through the chat. Gave you some things to think about so that you can continue on your journey. I also, invite you to, like I said, journal your things down, start journaling things, and so that you can stay consistent with it, so that you can remember what you actually set your goal was set to be, and so that you can move forward in this effort. And so therefore next week I will be back on live at 7:45 on Tuesday, and I look forward to talking to you, then also will, look for you in the chat on my videos. And I'm hoping that you will, come in and talk to me, through that, engage with me. I love community. I love engagement. And let's cheer each other on, and continue to continue this journey, or start for those who have not started yet. Yes. And with that being said, please look at the replay if you want to, if you need to, remember some things that you can't remember today. If you didn't get a chance to come into the chat, and also, comment and share your thoughts as well. And, just let us know what you're doing to become more disciplined and consistent within your journey. And if that's it, nobody else has anything else to say. I do thank you all for coming in today, or like I said, on the replay. And good night, everyone. Be blessed. And until we talk again, thank you and have a good one. See you soon. Like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And hit the notification bell if you have not already. Thank you. Good night.